Here we go. It is Friday.
Friday!
That's right. And you know what that means? Case file time.
Yeah. This week we got Freedom House Ambulance Service, born in Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
Pittsburgh. And I don't know much more than that.
Yeah, and it was on the pit.
It was on the pit.
Yeah, that we know.
Yes.
It's a pretty cool topic. We'll get into it, but it's actually a really sad,
Of course.
story, like my stories tend to be. But
I feel like they haven't been as sad lately.
Yeah, but it's also inspirational and really, really cool, and we should remember this.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I found when I was doing my research is sometimes these guys here were cut out of history.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get started.
Let's make sure we honor them.
Yeah. Welcome, Cadaver Crew.
Get your dark little minds right and settle in.
Class is in session, and the cadaver is already on the table.
I'm B.
And I'm Sam.
And this is the Cadaver's Files. Right. So we're talking about Freedom House Ambulance Service, but before we jump into how that was all established, let's do a quick little recap about what the before times were like. So before the mid-1960s, ambulance services in the U.S. were usually provided by the police or the local fire department sometimes, or your local funeral home.
And they actually pulled up on bikes and skidded their ways in.
That's not what happened. But now you won't be able to forget it. Services provided usually only included basic first aid and rapid transportation to the hospital. It was all about just getting someone from the scene to the hospital as quickly as possible. The U.S. medical system had not yet incorporated advancements in emergency care made in battlefield medicines, all of that cool stuff that we talked about on Monday that really established being able to triage and properly care for a patient en route and things like that. That was happening, had happened in the 1700s.
And we still
weren't catching on or bringing it into this idea for service here, even by the 1960s. And so there was a major need for fast medical care en route to hospitals due to the increase in car accidents.
Oh.
So car accidents were becoming a huge issue within America, specifically with the development of the automobile, and people were driving way more than they had ever had. People were able to afford cars, so more people were on the road. And then there was also a ton of injuries just occurring far away from hospitals because there just wasn't that many hospitals to be found.
Yeah.
So because of those kind of large risk factors that were occurring, more than ever needed a way to get people medical care quickly and get them transportation to the hospital. So as I mentioned on the main episode this week, a white paper that was very popular during this time was published called Accidental Death and Disability, the Neglected Disease of Modern Society. And this white paper stated that up to 50,000 deaths each year were the result of inadequate ambulance crews and a lack of suitable hospitals within range.
That's a significant amount.
That's a lot. And imagine being a patient and the ambulance gets there and you're like, I'm good, right? Because like I got people here.
Yeah.
You know, I called the right people. They got here in time, but then don't make it in time. You're not given the proper medical treatment in time. It's just, it's scary because you couldn't rely on the ambulance services. You couldn't rely on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, without it being standardized yet, it sucks to say, but how could you rely on them?
Yeah.
You don't even know what's going to be on that bus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who it is going to be on the bus or what they're going to have available to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pittsburgh specifically, because we're going to talk about Pittsburgh here, felt the impact of poor en route care when their governor at the time, David Lawrence, suffered a heart attack and was transported by police to the local hospital. When he arrived, he had no brain activity and died after being removed from life support. The physician who treated him believed his death could have been avoided with adequate pre-hospital care.
I mean, CPR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was one of the many, many things that kind of kicked off this conversation in Pittsburgh specifically about how we could change the way we went about en route medical care. So at this time in Pittsburgh, city police handled ambulance services in the city by paddy wagon. Stop. AKA a police van that also transported prisoners. So it's just your classic police van looking thing. They call it a paddy wagon. I was like, I don't
love
know if
that.
that's a Northeast
Somebody
thing.
call the paddy wagon.
Yeah. I don't know. We're gonna have to start using it or
Yeah.
something. But that's what a paddy wagon is. It's basically a van.
Yeah.
So, but think of a van that's has benches that holds prisoners for transport. That's what it looks like.
And how it's not equipped to hold patients for transport and actually get medical care at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, funeral homes provided ambulance services in the suburbs. The police were focused on city, and then in the suburbs, the funeral homes provided services there. Wait times were generally longer for service in predominantly Black neighborhoods, especially those that were considered poor, like the Hill District.
So I
We'll
guess
come back up.
my question is, are the wait times longer because these districts tend to be on the further outskirts of town and it's a longer distance of travel? Or was it because people were purposely shitty and didn't show up to these calls?
The second.
Perfect. Great.
Yes, because the Hill District is not far away.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, at the time, there was tension between the police and the community, specifically in the Hill District, but other predominantly Black neighborhoods as well, which made many in the community reluctant to even call the police in the first place. And this is what we're going to talk about in the main episode. Like, it's really hard to trust first responders, especially sometimes when they have a badge. And so that's why it's so important that ambulance services and fire departments are separate from the police department. Yeah, because a different kind of trust, different kind of service.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the police officer was the first one to show up at the door when our daughter.
Yeah.
And as someone who is trained in emergencies, when I saw him show up, I was like, what are you about to do for me? It's not like he has away equipment or anything like that on his person when he was knocking at the door. And it was honestly, even for me, very surprising to see a police officer be the first person that gets to the door. But I guess the argument is if he was the closest and he is trained in some of these emergency things and you're showing up to a house that doesn't have someone that's trained, you'd rather them show up than not.
For sure.
Yeah. But even I was incredibly surprised to see police show up. Yeah.
This is not to I think it's really important that everybody comes to the call, because man, there was a lot of people that came to that call. Yeah. And I appreciate that, but you could see where that would be frightening for people who are not necessarily treated in the same way that we are.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So the creation of the Freedom House Ambulance Service really started here, and the initial funding was provided by Lyndon Johnson's War on Poverty and the Maurice Folk Fund. The Folk Fund was headed by Phil Hallen, who was a former ambulance driver who wanted to improve response to medical emergencies and create employment opportunities for African American men in Pittsburgh. So a mission twofold. And then Dr. Peter Safar heard of this improvement to the ambulance services and also wanted to assist. Now, if you think of this name and it's going ding, 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 there's a reason why. It should be, though, for you.
Boy.
So Safar's daughter had died of an asthma attack following transportation to the hospital without provision of care en route at the age of 11.
Oh, man.
An asthma attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had worked on emergency pre-hospital care and developed cardiopulmonary resuscitation and advocated its use by civilians.
Yeah.
And
never heard of him.
What is cardiopulmonary
CPR.
resuscitation? It is CPR.
Yeah, never heard of him.
Yeah, he is the creator of CPR.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at him.
And he was the provider who assessed the Pittsburgh governor when he died.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
Important.
So he offered his ideas on standard care training and ambulance design.
Probably the guy we want doing it.
Yeah. And so Hallen, who was heading the fund here, he was the money guy, reached out to the Freedom House Enterprise to help recruit paramedics for the new ambulance service. So because at this time, the Freedom House Enterprise worked on civil rights projects, including voter registrations and organizing NAACP meetings, as well as offering job training and assistance for job searches to the Black citizens in Pittsburgh. Yeah. So they are a foundation that helps African Americans in Pittsburgh, specifically here, with being able to have job opportunities and advancements. Howland took that opportunity to use Freedom House Enterprise to kind of start this ambulance project. And then he had the expertise of Dr. Safar to kind of help along the way.
It feels like all the pieces fell into place for this one.
Yeah, I mean, with the hard work of,
Yes.
yeah, but they had the tools. They just need to have the right people to put them all together.
Yeah.
So the first cohort of the Freedom House ambulance service was 25 Black men recruited from the Hill District, that low-income, predominantly Black neighborhood. These recruits had struggled to gain employment. Half had not graduated from high school, some had criminal records, and some were veterans of the Vietnam War. So just a wide variety of people and education levels who just wanted an opportunity to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
let me work and I will provide for my community.
Right. Directly.
Yes.
Back into the community.
Yeah.
They just need someone to kind of believe in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Dr. Safar designed and implemented paramedics training. It was a 32-week course, 300 hours of anatomy, physiology, CPR, advanced first aid, nursing, how to defibrillate patients, and defensive driving.
Yeah, that last part.
Yeah.
Just imagine how much this took for these students, though. You said some of them hadn't even graduated high school, and they're taking an anatomy and physiology course, which half the people in the United States don't even have to take to graduate high school, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, those who had not graduated from high school got assistance on completing their GED.
Hell yeah.
So they did end up finishing out their high school education and also taking this 32-week course.
Yeah.
Their training also included rotations in hospitals and on the streets.
Talk about the time commitment for this, though. 32 weeks was probably bare minimum that was needed, right? In order to like really do this right. But for these guys to say, we're going to fund this and it's going to take almost a whole year to get off the ground because we're going to teach and train these guys right.
The right way.
Yeah. Very few people, organizations, things would have waited that amount of time.
They'd be like, what's the return on investment?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I think these guys were like, we know it's the right thing to do because they had personal ties to it, you know, previous ambulance experience and a daughter who died en route. Like, that's someone who's passionate and wants to make a difference. And so sometimes the return on investment doesn't necessarily mean anything. You know, you just want people to have good care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually this standard would be shaped with the assistance of other renowned doctors, including Dr. Nancy Caroline, who compiled the curriculum called Emergency Care in the Streets. Dr. Caroline eventually became the Freedom House medical director. Yeah. So she's pretty badass.
Yeah.
So they were setting everything up beforehand. All the training, getting the ambulances, getting everybody on board, manuals, all that stuff. They got it all first. And then they started in 1967. And they started operating really with 2 ambulances. Yeah, only 2. Before they even got their own ambulances, they would ride along with police, especially during the King assassination riots in 1968, to assist injured people.
That's cool.
Yeah. But imagine how brave
you have to be to get in the car with
a police officer.
Yes.
Who maybe does not respect you.
I mean, it's 1967. A. B, you said some of these guys had criminal records.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine how hard that was to get into that car. And then there's also a lot of tension with the King assassination just occurring in 68. And so then there's these huge gatherings happening, protests, some riots that are occurring, and it's dangerous. But also, I don't know, like the feeling of having essentially a spokesperson for your community be assassinated. Then you have to get in a car with a white police officer.
Yes.
And then go and help injured people who are
trying to fight
for, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just the emotional turmoil and the hardship, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So it's something to think about, like how strong these individuals were to go do that.
And how much they wanted to make a difference in their own community.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know, this group of people that funded it and trained them, put the time into them, and they said, no, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
They could have easily said, I'm not getting in the car with a police officer.
Right.
Yeah. And maybe some of them did.
I don't know. They all seemed pretty gung-ho to help. So, from my readings. So during their operation in the very first year, they served the Hill District, Oakland, and downtown Pittsburgh. So major downtown areas. They were known for their high standard of care. They were requested by callers over the police many times.
Wow.
Yeah, especially in the predominantly Black neighborhoods. They responded to 5,800 calls, and they transported over 4,600 patients, saving 200 lives.
I mean, 5,800 calls. That's an average of 15 calls per day for a relatively small group
For
of
2
people.
ambulances?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a lot. So their response time was less than 10 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah. So they were super quick. Also, in 1974, when Dr. Caroline became the medical director, she arranged ongoing trainings for paramedics in areas of intubation, cardiac care, IV drug administration, things that many other ambulance crews were not even
doing.
And the training she provided, along with the curriculum that she wrote, was eventually adopted by the federal government in 1975 and was used to shape EMS practice for Megan David Adam, Israel's National Emergency Medical Services. So Israel actually took her training and taught their own medical services based on her training.
Wow. All with these guys that were doing this to get jobs and to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Man, I love this.
Yeah. She also often rode along with the paramedics, held weekly meetings to review and analyze calls, and just drove that continuous education.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, is that she would do like ride-alongs and stuff. So they were also super effective because of their connection with the community. So here's a quote from someone who had observed and been in a documentary about this subject. Freedom House has compassion for the community. They told me when you walk into a person's home, you're a guest. That's the number one thing they brought to the table. They cared. They addressed everybody by their names, they respected them, and asked permission before providing treatment. So they were really...
they know what it feels like to not be respected.
So they were providing a service more than just medicine. They were providing people a safe way to get care and just to be acknowledged. During surges in heroin use at this time, paramedics were able to contact local drug dealers and provide information on identifying signs of an overdose. They would also provide medical assistance in emergencies without legal repercussions, which led to a dramatic drop in fatal overdoses.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so they knew the local drug dealers, probably not personally, just knew of them. And so they were able to say, hey, you know, this is what an overdose looks like, and this is what you need to do. And that, along with being able to be called without police presence, allowed for overdoses to really
just be cared for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's so progressive.
It's so progressive. And then I feel like we just fell apart after.
Yeah, we tend to do that. Sometimes we tend to throw away good things. So they were also first in America to transmit EKG data to a hospital when en route, use naloxone in the field for overdoses, use air cast for fractures, and stabilize patients on site rather than just swooping and scooping.
Swoop and scoop, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Freedom House ambulance service became the model across the U.S. and internationally. Their ambulance design would be adopted by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration as the official ambulance standard.
I love this.
Yeah, so
it's kind of like the argument we have with softball over and over, that if you put the money into a new program, they're going to find a way to be successful.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about this. They put the money, the time, the training into this, and it's a wild success.
Yeah. Absolutely it is. So it does not come with a happy ending, though.
Of course it doesn't.
Remember, they were started in 1967.
Mm-hmm. And
so now we're in the mid-70s. So they haven't been around for that long. And what do you know? Racism to end of the day.
American classic.
So despite being the literal best, the Freedom House paramedics faced racism from hospital staff, patients, and the city government. They would be assumed to be janitorial staff and asked to mop the floor when they came in.
Okay, you're literally coming in with a patient on a stretcher and being asked to mop the floor. Get out of here.
Gross. White patients would refuse to be touched or helped by them.
Okay, bye. Wait till the police officer gets here that doesn't have any training.
Right. It's just so dumb.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? The rationale of these people makes zero sense because there is no rationale. It's just... So also, a vocal opponent of the Freedom House ambulance service, Peter Flattery, became mayor in 1970. He opposed public and private partnerships and wanted complete oversight. So he didn't want this like half and half situation where there was public funding and also private oversight. He wanted it to be like, if there was public funding attached to it, I want oversight on it. Right. And so the media at the time accused the mayor of trying to eliminate the ambulance service to pander to the police union also, because essentially by having the ambulance services, you're taking away jobs from the police department. And I'm like, that's not what the police department is
It's made for. Yeah.
So stop trying to make it something it's not. But because you're taking away potential more manpower from the police department, it was considered threatening, I guess. There were also complaints in the white neighborhoods that the poorest, blackest parts of the city were getting better medical care than they were.
Okay, but you didn't want them to touch you, so...
Yeah, they want the better medical care, but only provided by white people.
I just get infuriated with things like this.
I know. This is why this story is so important.
Yeah.
To me. Dr. Safar stated racial prejudice with white police officers eager to maintain control of ambulance citywide was the cause of the efforts to end Freedom House ambulance services.
And they don't even provide the same services. They don't.
I know. Request to expand Freedom House was denied by the mayor because they did want to expand and provide services to a more wide breadth population, but that did not happen, and the mayor actually cut the city's portion of the ambulance service operating budget by 50%. And that's all ambulance services. That's not just...
Yeah. Deep breath.
Yeah.
Deep breath.
He also barred the use of sirens downtown, which then slowed paramedics' response time and allowed police to reach more calls.
That is one thing I will say. Our state does a fantastic job of... Our emergency services do not use sirens unless they actually... time is going to make a difference in something. Yeah. And so you'll oftentimes see emergency services going with their lights on. And if traffic isn't heavy or anything like that, they don't turn the sirens on. But then sometimes they do have lights and sirens on.
And then
it's serious. And so we always move out of the way for these people. But
yeah.
I feel like here people know even more, Wild that they literally didn't let them use sirens so that police could get there first.
I know.
Why do you need police to get there first?
So that they can provide the services.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're not trained at the same level of services. This is my whole argument.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing. It's shitty. Yeah. So in 1974, the mayor announced a citywide ambulance system to be staffed by police officers trained as paramedics. The Freedom House ambulance service got one more year of a contract, and then it was demolished in 1975. So they started in 67.
Thing. Yeah.
So
8 years.
8 years. So after it was demolished, in its place stood the new citywide ambulance service, which was almost exclusively white.
And that's because all these guys lost their jobs.
Yeah. So here's what happened. To these guys. So Dr. Nancy Caroline accepted the medical director position with the stipulation that the original Freedom House paramedics and dispatchers would be hired and kept together. So she was like, you're going to keep my ambulance crews together. So you would have essentially segregated ambulance crews, but it would then allow them to operate the same way they had been operating. And essentially this was in her contract, and they did not honor her conditions. So the crews were broken up, told that their training didn't count.
Okay.
Their 300 hours of training
didn't count, nor their 8 years of expertise.
Right. Essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. Those with past criminal records were automatically fired. And then pass-fail exams were instituted, covering material that had not been taught to the previous employees of Freedom House.
So they all failed.
A lot of them failed.
Yeah.
And were essentially immediately kicked out.
God. They've been providing great care for the last 8 years, and no one can just look past the fucking color of their skin and keep going.
Right. Most of the remaining were given non-medical or non-essential work, and they worked under white medics with half their experience.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Of course.
So they would carry the medic bag, and the white medic would get to do all this stuff, and they would have to just stand there and be quiet and hold this stuff. Yeah. So of the original Freedom House employees, only about half remained a year later, and eventually only 5 remained with the new ambulance service. From then on, it was only one that was given a leadership position, John Moon.
And it was originally 26 Freedom House employees.
Yeah. It was 25 at the very, very beginning of it, at 26 when this happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then John Moon stayed for 35 years, eventually becoming assistant chief.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
He said they were constantly fighting a concerted effort to eliminate the legacy of Freedom House. And I can say I agree, because I looked at EMS history pages that would do like timelines and actually written by EMS services that eliminated this entire story.
Yeah. And so when B and I do our notes totally separately so that we have like genuine responses, and we were sitting in the bathroom one night talking about it, and she was like, I wonder what my case file should be on. I was like, I figured you would have found Freedom House by now and latched onto that, because I do know it's a super important story. And she was like, I haven't seen a single thing about Freedom House. And I specifically said to her, like, that's your case file. Like, I don't know all the ins and outs of this story, but that's your case file. And so it's sad that so much of this has been erased unless you go specifically looking for it. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you just looked up like general EMS history, they're not in the top 10 links.
And that's why when things are taken off the internet, like they're frequently being done today, people don't realize how big of a deal it is.
So impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the late 1990s, by then, 98% of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Emergency Medical Services were white.
Even though these guys proved that they could contribute to their community.
Yep. The systemic racism ruled the day, unfortunately, even though, you know, sometimes no matter how hard you work or how right you are, people can't look past.
No.
And it's just disgusting, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
So, and then your fun fact, the Freedom House Ambulance Service is referenced in The Pit, Season 1, Episode 8. And Dr. Robbie, if you watch The Pit, you know, main character.
I don't love him as much in Season 2, but that's okay.
He's struggling.
He's struggling.
Describes the Freedom House medics as the first paramedics in the country.
Yep.
Yep. And they treat, in the show, they treat someone who used to be a Freedom House Ambulance Service paramedic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, really cool reference. Watch the episode if you haven't, because it's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Freedom House Ambulance Service, and I hope that I did it some justice.
No, I think you did. I think it's sad to see how much work everyone put in to make this a thing, and how quickly something like that
can be just taken away by a mayor who is racist asshole and wants to do a favor to the police bureau.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sucks. It's just so disappointing, because they were just making so many great advancements and having such an impact. And
just imagine where our ambulance services or where our EMS would be nowadays if we had continued to let that group of people drive the starting point for EMS here in the United States, modern day EMS.
Yeah, because all of their documentation, their training documentation, their standard ambulance, all of that was taken and applied to federal regulations. They were the standard. And yet it's just funny that you can take them as the standard and then just throw them away.
Yes.
It's like, ugh.
Well, some people, as soon as they realize what color of skin it's associated with, it just doesn't mean the same thing anymore.
Yeah. I'm surprised that they even took it, because there was also a woman.
Yes. I was surprised when you said Caroline.
Nancy Caroline, yeah.
Yeah.
She has 2 first names.
Ricky Bobby.
Not the same.
It's literally quoted in that movie. What has he got? 2 first names. That's not the exact quote, but it's something along the lines.
But anyways, yeah, that's the Freedom House Ambulance Service.
Perfect. Well, on that note, check out our link tree, which you can find in the show notes or in any of our social media bios, for where to follow us, where to listen, our Amazon storefront, all the fun things that are up and coming, as well as a way to support us on Buy Me a Coffee. You can, of course, listen anywhere that you get your podcast, which is great to say, and continue to engage, continue to leave comments, leave reviews, share our podcast, and respond to me when I make comments on social media. No, social media is one of our number one ways of reaching new people. So very important for us to have engagement there.
Yeah. And if you have a new idea for an episode or a case, or maybe you have more information on the case I just spoke to, I'd love to share it. DM us on social media if you have an idea for a story, or if you want to share an experience or a story that you have had or a family member has had and you would like us to share it on the podcast, go ahead and send us that way. Send us that.
Send them our way.
Send them our way.
Yeah.
Go ahead and DM us those as well.
Yeah.
And maybe we can do a cool episode.
I have such a dream for this podcast that every week, especially in a week like this week, we get to do bonus content with someone that was a part of Freedom House Ambulance Services, like someone that's still alive, get them on a video call and just say, like, tell me everything. Like, let me share your story. When I think about the Ray brothers and the HIV and all of that, like, I want to talk to the sister that's still alive and say, just let us share the story, not from any standpoint, but for it to have a place. For it to have a place forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that sounds silly, but that's like my biggest dream with this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Record history.
Record history. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sneak peek of next week's episode. Hand washing. I've not done any research into it, but a paramedic that I work with is actually who brought up that we should do it as a topic and said it's really cool that there was something about a guy that was going from the morgue straight into labor and delivery or something like that. And maybe this is all wrong. This is what he said. And babies kept dying from these like weird illnesses. And then one guy started washing his hands in between going to the morgue and delivering babies. And everyone thought he was crazy stupid for washing his hands. And I hope that is the story we're about to get next week.
I hope so too. That sounds, except for the dying.
I mean, yeah. No, babies. I don't want to talk about dying babies. Yeah. But just, it's so funny, these novel thoughts and how people think they're crazy. But like people used to think blood was sterile, and now we 100% know that it's not, and that it carries lots and lots of things to be passed on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the first person that was like, no, there's bloodborne pathogens and, all of these things. So everyone's like,
you're crazy.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, class is dismissed.
Stay safe.
Stay curious.
And don't try this at home.
Unless you own a bone saw. Or an ambulance.
Yeah. You own an ambulance?
You own an ambulance? There's this new RV style that's out that's essentially the shape of an ambulance because of how much space it holds and has all the cargo underneath. Yeah, it's cool. But it's just interesting.
You got one of those?
I want one of those. I actually don't. I just want to stay in hotels and Airbnbs. I'm sorry. Bye, guys. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We discuss the history of medicine, not your personal medical situation. Nothing you hear on this show should ever be taken as medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Some of the information discussed may be incorrect or become outdated over time. We do our best to stay current with medical knowledge, but medicine changes quickly. Additionally, because we do not work in every specific field we discuss, there may be times when we misspeak or misinterpret information. We're all human, and we're doing our best for the podcast. Every medical case is unique, and your health decisions should always be made in consultation with your own qualified healthcare professional. If you have any questions or concerns about your health, please reach out to a licensed provider who can give you guidance based on your individual needs.